one.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies, hanging out with Mr. Thomas Manning. That's right, Thomas Manning. He's back, and we're back together. I'm Noel T. Manning II. We are talking movies right here on Meet Me at the Movies from C19 TV. So good to see you all. And Thomas, really good to have you back in the space where you and I are able to have dialogue. You've, of course, been on the show, but you've been doing a lot of interviews. And so it's been a while since you and I have been together. So it's good to see you as we dive into the Oscars for this week's show. And we're not going to give you predictions. We don't want to do that. We're going to tell you who we would vote for and why. That's the essence of what today's show is. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Unfortunately, our best little dachshund friend Oscar is not here today. But maybe if we do an Oscars recap show, we can bring him back in his little bow tie and present him out there to the audience.
I'd love that. I'd love,
Yeah.
maybe we could get him a little tuxedo jacket and put it on him. I would love that. I think
Yeah.
maybe we could talk to Catherine because you're right. He's got the bow tie. He just needs the jacket to go along with it. But yeah, hello
Yeah.
to Oscar in Raleigh, North Carolina. And yeah, Catherine, we'll say hello to you
Yeah,
as
Catherine.
well. Well, it
Friend
is
of the
the
show.
award show. It is the award show, Thomas, and we're talking Oscars, and we're not going to get through everything, but we're going to start off kind of at the top. But anything you want to share with the group, or any thoughts or comments you want to have before we dive in?
Oh, well, this is my first time back on the show in this format in a few months, so might be a little bit rusty. I'm not going to say I'm back and better than ever. I'll just say I'm back and ever. And I who knows how this is going to go, but I'm happy to be here. And listen, we were talking about style a little bit a few minutes ago, and I think Noel took some inspiration from Jim Carrey's Riddler. And however, if that version of the Riddler had a blue-green, color deficiency and couldn't quite tell the difference there. So I think that's what we have going on. We got the checkerboard on checkerboard. So some kind of fashion statement we have here, and I have no choice but to give you a hat tip.
Thanks, man. Well, typically you would not do check on check. You just typically wouldn't do that, but I'm not a typical kind of person. And if you watch any of the award shows, if you watch the red carpets, if you watch the behind the scenes, you're going to see people dressing pretty crazily. And so this is nothing compared to what you see in the award shows. So I'm looking forward to that next Critics' Choice Award show where I can do something very unusual. But I am taking your mom next time, and so she may not allow me to do anything a little too crazy. But yes, welcome to the Oscars celebration as we look at the films and the filmmakers that we would have voted on if we had been given a choice. So Thomas, let's talk Best Picture. We're not going to go through the nominees. We're just going to talk about maybe those that stood out to us and maybe who we would vote for. I'll let you start it off, man.
Yeah, for Best Picture, I would vote for Killers of the Flower Moon. I voted for this for Best Picture in multiple critics associations over the course of December and January. And I just think this is the most complete saga of a film that we saw last year. There were a lot of, truly epic tapestries, such as this, or, Oppenheimer, which is another heavy hitter this award season. But I think Killers of the Flower Moon has managed to really burrow into my brain and just stay there in the months since I've watched it. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of those reasons will come up in other parts of this show as we talk about some of the other categories. But I just think the way that Martin Scorsese approached this material that was unbelievably sensitive and also traumatic for a lot of people of the Osage Nation, and the way that he collaborated with creatives within the Osage Nation. I think this film kind of is the pinnacle of what cinema in our modern day can offer you. So yeah, that's why Killers of the Flower Moon would be my vote for Best Picture if I was so privileged enough to be a member of the Academy.
Absolutely, yeah, good choice, Thomas. And for me, first I want to tell. I'm not going to tell you who I would vote for first. I'm going to tell you my favorite film of the year out of this list. It was Holdovers, because that's the film I'm going to keep going back to. Year after year, I'm going to be going back to that film. I love how it made me feel. I love what it had to say. Love the characters, and love that kind of organic humor. That was my favorite film of the year. Now, was it the one I would vote for as far as the best from an artistic standpoint? No. Um, I was torn between Oppenheimer, because it was a technical marvel of what they were able to pull off. Also, it hit all the marks, Thomas, from a standpoint of the casting, the costume design, uh, the direction, and what they were doing was such an incredible story. And if you look at what it did at the box office at a time it was going up against kind of the pop culture sensation of Barbie, pretty amazing, the Barbenheimer combination that was happening over the summer. But I'm with you. Killers of the Flower Moon was the most complete film for me across all levels. You think about this from a casting standpoint, you've got the legends in there, but then you've got these newcomers that shine or even outshine those who have been doing this for quite a long time. The production design, the costumes, as you mentioned, and the story. Oh, just a heart wrenching story. And then the directing from the legend himself. Scorsese has not missed a beat. So my vote would also go to Killers of the Flower Moon. Director Thomas, or anything else you want to add before we go to director?
Well, since you mentioned the holdovers, I will take a chance to share my love for that film as well. I saw it at one of the few theaters in the country where it was playing on film in 35 millimeter at the Belcourt Independent Theater in Nashville, Tennessee. And I think this is one of those movies. It is a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas, and that plays heavily into the story and the journey of the characters. I think it's one of those I'm going to be watching pretty much every year for the rest of my life, just with the mood it captures and those the relationship between Paul Giamatti's character and then Dominique Sessa in his very first film role. Basically, just a theater kid who was plucked out of nowhere, and now he is, on the biggest stage working with Alexander Payne and Giamatti. And so, yeah, the holdovers, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was one that has a very special place in my heart for sure.
Yeah, well, Thomas, I will start first with director in this next category. I mentioned Martin Scorsese, and Martin would get my vote. Um, he finds a way to continue to be at the top of his game. And you look back just a few years and you look at The Irishman and you're like, wow, what he did with that, can he follow that up and continue to find ways to shine and to be at that level? And man, Scorsese does it. Killers of the Flower Moon, we've already mentioned why it was such a magnificent film, but I think in many ways, Scorsese, as he ages, he finds a way to continue to prove that he is worthy of the legendary status.
Yeah, and he has a cameo in this film, as he does in many of his films, but this one in particular is very thematically resonant. It almost has a meta quality, and I'm not going to spoil how it comes about or where it comes about, but when you see it, it basically is almost like a bow on the entire film of this entire package that he's created. So yeah, I think Scorsese would be my vote as well for best director. But I also will take time to mention the incredible work of Christopher Nolan on Oppenheimer, and just the fact that Nolan is so his name recognition is at the level that it is, that he was able to bring in audiences worldwide for this 3 hour historical biopic, parts of it in black and white, and basically make $1 billion. at the box office with that. And obviously, not saying that a box office achievement necessarily translates to a great directorial achievement, but in this case, it does, because Nolan has proven himself time and time again, and people want to come out and hear what he has to say and to see what he has to show them. And Oppenheimer is a terrific example of that, with this the structure of this narrative that is in pretty much three distinct acts, going from a rather traditional biopic to this scientific procedural to this judicial drama, and every moment of this film guided by his steady hand. So yeah, just two titans of cinema with Scorsese and Nolan this award season. So I mean, it really just was a wonderful year for movies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, before the break, let's talk about Best Actor, and we come back. We're going to dive into a lot of the other categories and make sure we get some of those in. So, Best Actor, Thomas.
Oh yeah, I will go with Cillian or Cillian, however you want to pronounce it.
Cillian, yeah.
There we go. Cillian Murphy. You'd think I would know how to pronounce it with as much as he's been in the news lately, but Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. I think one word that I would use to describe his presence is haunted. Just haunted by his creation in this film, and the way he's able to convey that to the audience with really just his eyes is truly marvelous.
Yeah, I love also what they did, or what he did with his voice, and you would get this stutter and this kind of stammering that would come out, and it just felt so real from a dialogue standpoint, because when most of us talk, even on this show, in conversation and in dialogue, it's not just reading out of a script where you don't have these filler words and this filler language, and that happens here. I will say that there are two people that are experts at writing that kind of thing: Tarantino, and also a guy that we know who did The West Wing. It did Molly's Game. Help me out, Thomas. Who am I talking about here?
Mr. Aaron Sorkin.
There you go. Aaron Sorkin is so good at that as well. And we saw that and we felt that here in this character. So Cillian Murphy, or Cillian Murphy, however you want to call his name. We're in sync on that one. Really happy to see him. I would vote for that. But I will say I'm very happy that Paul Giamatti and also Jeffrey Wright from American Fiction, I'm glad that they were nominated. Jeffrey Wright, I've been a fan of for a long time, so it's great to see the recognition there for what Jeffrey Wright brings to the world of cinema. So, Thomas, we're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back, and we're going to come back with Best Actress, and then the supporting roles, and hopefully we're going to get to the screenplays. So stick around right here on Meet Me at the Movies as we tell you who we would vote for in the Academy Awards coming up in the not-too-distant future.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch?
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at C19.TV.
For many kids, just showing up to school is a challenge. Staying through graduation is even harder. So at communities and schools, we do just what our name says. Our staff brings a community of resources to meet each student's needs right in their school, doing whatever it takes to keep kids focused so they see what we see, a bright future. Join in at communitiesinschools.org.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch?
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II hanging out with Thomas Manning, and we are talking Oscars, who we would vote for if we were voting members of the Academy. Thomas, we knocked out a few of those before the break, and we are now on to the Best Actress category, and some great talent here, some talent that's been around for a long time, and then some newcomers.
Yeah, and I think I am going to talk about one of those newcomers, Lily Gladstone, for Killers of the Flower Moon, and she plays the role of Molly Burkhart, real life historical figure. And actually, I had the privilege of speaking with Lily a couple months ago about this film. It was right on the other side of the SAG-AFTRA strike, right when they were finally able to do some press, and talked to her about what community means to her as a Native American woman, and how that community and her family really has inspired her creatively and personally, pretty much in all facets of her life. And what she does in this film with just small, almost these small things on the corner of her lips when she's smiling, or it's this small smile that's peeking through, they kind of let you know that she's the smartest person in the room, or the smartest person in any given situation in this movie. That frankly, the bad men in this film are just not very intelligent. They're just really, their evilness has a quality of just stupidity to it. And just the way that she is you understand that where she's coming from, that she knows what's going on in the world around her. And also another aspect of her performance, which really heightens her performance in a way, is that a lot of the time her character is in bed sick. But despite the fact that she is in bed sick, her presence in the whole film, we feel that whether or not she's on screen. And I was talking to a friend of the show, Christian Jessup, former co-host, Meet Me in the Movies, that we think that speaks more to her performance than anything. The fact that for the last hour or so of the movie, she's hardly in it, but she's still my pick for Best Actress, due to the fact that all that work she put in earlier in the film made her lack of presence and heightened that to a degree that that really is why I would give her my Best Actress vote.
I would vote for her as well, Lily Gladstone. I'm so glad you mentioned that interview that you had with her, because we got a chance to see and feel a little bit more about who she is with that. And she's done quite a few interviews over the course of award season. For me, her role was the anchor for the film. And her performance was both raw, and it was also authentic, and it was purposeful. And so that's why I would have voted for Lily Gladstone for the Best Actress for the Oscars, for the Academy Awards. I'm going to jump a little bit, Thomas, because we're talking about actresses, and Best Actress in a Supporting Role, and then we'll go back to Best Actor in a Supporting Role. For me, Emily Blunt would get my vote for Oppenheimer, where I said that Lily Gladstone was the anchor for Killers of the Flower Moon. I thought Emily Blunt was the heart of Oppenheimer, and I've always loved Emily Blunt's work, and I've seen her both in action and in comedy, and then seeing her in drama as well. She can do it all, and I just continue to be impressed with who she is as a talent, and loved her in this film. And there are so many scenes where you get different dynamics of her talent, and it truly does shine through. So for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, I would have voted for Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer.
And I'll go back to the holdovers on this for Best Actress in a Supporting Role and talk about Davine Joy Randolph. And between the bickering duo of Paul Giamatti and Dominique Sessa, you have Davine Joy Randolph, who she can really hold her own against both of them. They both, both Dominic and Paul's characters have such a, respect for her just because they know that she is basically one of the strongest people they've ever met, and they know what she's been through and the grief she's carrying around, but also the fact that she is moving forward and finding a way to live the life that she wants to live. And there's an incredible strength to her vulnerability, and also that very vulnerability provides more layers to her performance than we can really even comprehend. And so I think that's why Devine Joy Randolph she's captured the hearts of a lot of voters this award season, and I think I very much think that will continue with the voting from the Academy as well. But regardless of who they choose, she has my vote.
Yeah, I loved her in that, and it was tough for me to make that decision. And so I rewatched both of those with that in mind, asking that question. They both were solid. I'd be happy with either one of those. Best Supporting Actor. I'm going to go. I'm going to actually stay with Oppenheimer, Thomas. Robert Downey Jr. To me, he answered the question that many people who followed him for the past however long, is there life after Tony Stark and Iron Man? And the answer, resoundingly, yes, there is. His role in Oppenheimer, talk about seeing just complexity in a character shine through, and it did so in such a manner that just felt so easy for the acting talent of Robert Downey Jr. Gets my vote if I were voting for Best Supporting Actor for the Oscars.
And I'm going to go right back once again to Killers of the Flower Moon and say Robert De Niro, up in his, I believe he's in his 80s at this point. He and Scorsese, they've had this creative partnership for 50 plus years now, which is kind of just an insane thing to say out loud. And I think De Niro, this is going to sound strange, but his forehead is doing some incredible work in this film. Just look at the furrows on his forehead, and watch. You're going to have to trust me on that if you haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, but just go into this and watch how that kind of really rearranges the entire texture of his face, just some of the way his forehead is structured.
So we kind of wonder, if you could superimpose Peyton Manning's forehead over De Niro, you wonder what you would have there. So we'll have to see if we can do some AI manipulation and make that happen. So De Niro would get your vote for Killers of the Flower Moon for Best Supporting Actor. Well, Thomas, we've only got just a couple of minutes, but I do want to make sure that we both at least get to say who we would vote for in original screenplay and adapted screenplay. So give us your votes for both of those. We won't be able to go into a lot of detail.
Yeah, original screenplay, I will say Past Lives on that. Just a film about how basically every interaction we have on a daily basis it has the potential to be monumental in someone's life, and how we should approach that accordingly. And then for adapted screenplay, I'm going to say Oppenheimer again for many of the reasons that we've discussed for about 30 minutes now.
Yeah, for me, for original screenplay, it was a toss-up between Past Lives and Holdovers. I loved Holdovers from the way the characters are written, and also just the way the dialogue was written between the three main characters. But Past Lives would get my vote just from the creative aspect of what was presented there. So I'm with you on that. An adapted screenplay. Also, we're doing pretty well with our votes together. Oppenheimer. I loved every layer of the writing of this, from general storytelling within the dialogue to just kind of the way it had this cinematic engagement. This screenplay had so many moving parts. You talked about the structure of it. So many moving parts that it will be very easy for those to fall out of place, but they clicked into what was just a complete puzzle that provided this cinematic picture that was just amazing to watch over the course of multiple hours. So best adapted screenplay was Oppenheimer. Well, Thomas, we actually do have time if you just want to throw in a wild card, if there was one other category you wanted to mention of what you would vote for, and I'll do the same.
Okay, so I'll throw in best foreign language film, or I guess best international feature is the category. I want to talk about Perfect Days, which is directed by Wim Wenders. He's German filmmaker, but this was actually Japan's entry into the best international feature category. It was co-production between Germany and Japan, and just a beautiful portrait of finding joy in the quiet moments and finding joy in just the routine of daily life. So I would say Perfect Days. If that's one you haven't seen, put that on your radar.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give a shout out to John Williams. And you probably thought you would never hear me talk about Indiana Jones's last film on this show ever again with the rating that I gave it. But John Williams, kudos, dude. You still find a way to get an Oscar, even for a film that makes me just cringe every time I think about it for different reasons. So congratulations to John Williams for the score nomination. And I would have voted for you, dude, for Indiana Jones. Cannot believe I would have given Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a vote for anything other than a film that I will not go back and see again, unless I edit it into my own version of that film. You have been watching Meet Me at the Movies as we explore the Oscars and who we would vote for. So just invite you to spend some time engaging in cinema. And if you haven't seen all these films and in all these categories, you still got like a minute. So you can go watch what you're able to watch. And we do appreciate you engaging with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. I'm Noel T. Manning II, and for Thomas Manning, we appreciate you, and for the entire cast and crew right here, we are saying, until next time, that's a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.
Between your job, your family, and other demands on your time, life can get pretty hectic. So we want you to take time for yourself. Hi, I'm Jennifer Harrell, and I want you to join me for your health. Each month, the Cleveland County Health Department and C19 TV will explore topics that affect you and your family's health. We'll discuss the importance of exercise, a healthy diet, and regular health screenings and checkups. From fitness tips to warning signs to the latest healthcare news. For Your Health will help keep you in shape and up to date in Cleveland County. We want you to be your best, so join us each month for Your Health, right here on Spectrum Cable and online, C19.TV.